Hello there guys and welcome to another EDH Geeks video. And today, in case you didn't know by reading the description or clicking the image, having a couple of quick tips for new Commander players. So yes, I think we'll just say 5-ish tips. Gonna get my hand in there? Oh, just about. But yeah, 5-ish tips. I think 5 is pretty good, roughly, because I think, like, for new people, if you're coming into this format and you just want to get in, this is a great format to get into if you want to get into Magic. This is, in my opinion, the best format, and I might be a bit biased, but the thing is, like, realistically, if you think about it, unless you're a super spiky person and you know you're a super spiky person and you love to grind tournaments and all of this sort of thing, and you just love that competitive play and you always want to make the optimal plays and things like that, I just think that Commander is the best format for 90% of people. That's why it's pretty much the biggest format in Magic. Because most people just want to play some casual games with their friends or with their family or whatever. So, look, if people want to get into this, what are 5 things, basically, I think, that top tips that you would, when you come in, that you say, hey, what should I think about? How can I play this game? What are some quick, easy, simple sort of hacks, I guess, that I should remember or I should keep in mind when I'm starting to play this game? And the first thing that I will say about getting into Magic is, besides, like, anything else, before you get too far into it, because you do have to learn the rules and everything like this, is being open to making mistakes. This is the first thing, first tip. Be open to making mistakes. Everyone is going to make mistakes. It's going to happen. Don't worry about it. Don't stress too much about it. Don't think that people are going to, jump up and down and scream and holler at you. Maybe they will, for shits and gigs sort of thing. But realistically, most people are going to be very understanding, especially in Commander, especially more casual sort of setting. And that's why, again, I sort of say that Commander is a better format to get into even if you're just starting out in Magic. It's just so much more forgiving, like, in terms of, like, people will sit there and they will try and help you with what you're trying to do, or with the math, you're trying to figure it out. You're going, oh, this is a 7 creature, or whatever. This is a 2. This is that. Don't be afraid. Oh, I missed my trigger. I missed this. I forgot this. Oh, this does this. Blah blah blah. I forgot to say, blah blah. This sort of thing. Don't worry about forgetting things, or don't worry too much about, remembering all the rules, because not everyone knows all the rules. I think there are some people that know all the rules, but even so, even when you know all the rules, you can still forget some of the rules, and some of the rules are really weird and complicated in how they work, and you've got to sit there for a few minutes sometimes, but don't let like the rules or whatever put you off of learning to play. But just don't be too afraid of, like, getting things wrong, or just take your time, even if it's taking a while. Just like, yeah, guys, sorry, look, I'm new to the game. I'm just trying to figure out what's going on. I can't pass all these things yet. I don't know what's going on. Rah, 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 and all that sort of stuff. So that is my first tip for people. If you're wanting to get into playing Commander, the second tip that I would have is to stick to, when you first pick a commander or pick a commander deck to play, is to stick to either monocolored, so 1 color, or 2 colors. So don't go into 3 colors or 4 colors or 5 colors or beyond, whatever. Well, there's not any more than 5 realistically. but don't just stick to mono red, mono black, mono blue, mono green, or mono white. I think, or any of the 10 two color pairs, basically. So all the two color pairs are really solid and really strong. As far as decks, realistically, I think. There are some archetypes that are a bit meh, in my opinion, for newer players. There's certainly a lot in Azorius that I would say leaves a lot to be desired in some regards. Like there's a couple newer commanders now that are kind of very cool and do lend themselves to a little bit more of strategy and gameplay and whatnot than what they used to, I think. And that's good because you can't have decks and a certain set of colors, let's say, of an archetype, of a set of archetypes, whatever, just simply be, a control lockdown stack style deck. And that's unfortunately typically what those colors have been lumped with. I think a lot of players just want to play and have fun. They don't want to sit there for a 20-hour game. That's not that fun. Barely anyone gets to untap anything, and it just sort of, doesn't really go anywhere. That's not very fun. I think, it's really good that, some of the newer commanders have put more things into some of these areas and some of these colors so that you can expand. Everyone used to joke, I think, about, Boros being the worst color pair, but in the recent years it's become, much, much better than what it has been in many years. It's still lagging behind a lot of the other colors, but I still think you can make good Boros decks and good mono white and good mono red decks, certainly, but they do struggle a little bit. The next thing I would say is if you are getting into Commander and you want to play a two-color deck, well, this will be the third one, I guess, to an extent, to a degree, is that sticking with green is the safest option. And I'm not going to say that you should play green, but I'm just saying that it is the safest option because you've just got the ease of ramp in green. Green is the color of ramp. Green also has some fairly decent card draw for what it does, which is mostly put out big stompy monsters and whatnot. That's usually the style of play that I kind of like. I just like big stompy monsters and things like that. And it also, once again, as I said, lends itself to ramping. So it allows you to actually get enough mana quickly enough to actually start playing some of these 6, 7, 8 drops and even sometimes casting 2 or 3 of them in the same turn and things like this. So that makes it easy to overwhelm your opponents. And especially, like, again, you're in Commander, you're in a usually a 4-player game. Usually, sometimes you're in a 3, and sometimes you might go into a 5 or even a 6. I'll move on slightly to a degree to say, fourth tip, I guess, is don't play any more than 4 players until you start getting a little bit more comfortable with it, because even playing like 3 players can be very difficult, or 3 other players. Like, remembering your own stuff is hard enough a lot of the time, and just knowing what your opponents are doing is a lot of work. And the type of strategy that I like is just creatures mostly, but that's very hard to win with a lot of the time because everyone starts at 40 life. But then again, some people want to play mill and everyone starts with, 99 cards in their deck. So that's a lot bigger of a task than hitting everyone for, 40 damage or whatever. And your opponents can help you out in, hitting people for damage. Whereas, you know, unless you're actually going to find a whole bunch of people that actively want to mill one another, you know, it's not really going to get that far. And the same with other certain strategies. They're just not supported enough, I don't think. There are certain combos in certain of those decks and whatnot, and you can just deck people out and whatnot and just win the game that way or whatever. There are other ways to win than directly, but you know, the thing is, this is a game of fun, and I think to just play the game, to go down to your local store, or to go home and play with a few of your friends or whatever, or go out to the pubs or clubs or wherever you want to play, or to some of the you know, gaming clubs or what have you, and just grab a quick game. Just stick to playing with 4 until you become fairly comfortable with playing the deck that you're playing and know what it does, and that you've got enough experience playing with other people. Like, some people can throw themselves into the deep end, and I've heard some people do okay with, you know, flowing themselves into the deep end, which is fine. If you want to do that, you can do that. It's up to you. Like, that will be my fifth-ish tip, I guess, is like, do what you want to do. Like, you don't have to listen to me. But I'm just saying, if you think about it and you think to yourself, okay, I want to take it easy, I want to take it slowly, I want to learn what I'm doing, sounds good to you, you know, a couple weeks or whatever, okay, I know what's going on with my deck, I know what most of my cards roughly do. You don't have to know exactly what they do. Because even like some of the more common cards I will have to read again, even now that I've been playing for 2 or 3 years, and I know some people playing for 20, 30 years or whatever, and if you ask them something about their card and you say, does this do this or blah blah blah, there's specific wording of it or what have you, and how does it work and things like that, they'll have to look down and go, you know, yeah, you know, things like that. So, especially with new cards as well, because new cards are printed all the time, and it's always like, is this a card that's exactly like this other old card, or almost exactly the same as this other card? Does it work the same way, or is it different? And how is it different? Why is it different? Things like that. So the fifth tip, finally, I think, that we'll come to here for now, is to basically play for fun. Play for fun, and just do what you want to do, is the overall ethos of Commander in the end. So if you go out, you go to find a command deck at your local Kmart or Woolworths or whatever, wherever you can find one. If you have a local game store or what have you, if you get one off of a friend, just look at them. Look at what they do. Does this speak to you? Does this seem cool? Does this seem like what you want to be doing? You know, do you want to play Blue White Flyers, you know, or whatever it is? Do you want to play rogues? Do you want to play, what do you want to play? Does this idea of like communing with nature or whatever speak to you, or you a you know, a person that likes artifacts or, you know, things like this? Do you like cats? Do you like dogs? Do you like birds? You know, there's all these little things. Do you like dinosaurs? You know, I would think that those are more, some of those were more, like dinosaurs especially, are more like, I would say, younger kid cards, but there are certainly some adults that love dinosaurs as well. So, you know, just look at what sort of speaks to you, and just, like, if there is a basic Commander deck, I would buy it for, and it's roughly $50. I would buy it for $50. If you want to try to find a Commander deck to start out with, having a basically $50 budget is the very most basic of basic decks that I would think that you would ever want to try to build. at. Anything less than $50 investment into a deck is probably not a very good deck, because most of the cards that you need to really function in a real way against anyone playing any deck, for the most part, is going to cost you roughly that much. The ramp that's needed in these decks, the amount of card draw, and just like there's probably only a few $1 to $2 cards in those sort of decks, or maybe a couple $2 to $3 cards at the most, and the rest is 50 cents to free, basically, because basic lands are free. And that's another thing, another ish thing that I will give you a tip as: stick to a budget. If like cardboard rectangles are addictive, which is why it's sometimes referred to as the cardboard crack. And there are many jokes and there's many things about that, but keep it PG to the most part, at least. But the thing of it is, this is how we as people who play the game, us nerds, do refer to it and sort of play with it and have fun and things like that. Because in the end, we're playing with, cardboard rectangles. We're playing with pieces of a tree that's has ink printed on it, and we're assigning a value of $20, $30, $40, hundreds and hundreds of dollars to some other cards, and thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars to some other cards, just because of the rarity or the scarcity or the desirability of that single piece of cardboard rectangle. It's a little bit weird when you think about those sorts of things. But if you're a new player, you want to stick to a rough budget. You don't want to go diving too deep into it. And the thing is, like, when you want to change decks, because you will inevitably go, oh, well, I thought this would be what I wanted, but I want to try something else. This deck really wasn't doing it for me. Or you just want to upgrade your deck. You go, oh, well, I know these cards are really good cards because, Sol Ring is a good card. Who'd have thunk it? Like Dimir Signet is a good card. Just like the staple cards of Commander are good cards for the most part. Anything that is generic is fairly good, for the most part. And that would be another ish tip, I would guess, is to keep staple cards. Particularly, certain cards are in demand to a degree, and they can fetch a nice price, but the thing is, if you really want to keep playing this format, maybe you think, oh yes, I'm going to play this once in a blue moon. I'll pull it out from, my kitchen dresser, or what have you. I'll pull it out, and I have my friends and family, or have my friends over, or have going out tonight, and I'll go down to play at the F&M. I'll go down for the Commander night, I'll come out or do something, what have you, whatever, and go and have a good time. That's it. But like, if you say, oh yes, I'll bring it out every once in a while, but if you decide in the future to eventually get out of it, you can know that your cards might be worth something, but you might think to yourself, maybe one day, I don't know, in the far from future, I might get back into this game. You never know. And again, you just what does it hurt you to keep maybe a handful of like staple-ish cards, and they'll still be worth something in a few years' time, and you'll still be able to use them. But like, I know some people aren't like that, and in some ways I'm not like that a lot either, because I don't like to keep too many cards that I'm not actively going to use or actively using. I don't like having too many cards there, because it's like, well, what am I doing with them? Plus, they're worth something, Plus, it's like, well, I could be getting something else that I would be using or do need or what have you. But currently, at the current point, I'm very happy with the decks that I have, and I'm fairly happy with the level of collection that I have. It's not too big. It's maybe a couple hundred cards at the most that I'm not using at the most, but most of that's just basic lands. But anyway, not basic lands, but they're full art lands. But anyway, guys, if you found these couple little tips, I said 5-ish, but I might have gone for 10 really at the end when I had my 5-ish tips, the little tips, I guess, is helpful to you in any way. I really would appreciate your support. I do these videos for the community. I try to build the community around EDH here in and around my YouTube. And if you can help me out and subscribe, ring the bell, share with a friend, even get on my Patreon, donate a few dollars, that would really help me out. I'll be really grateful for it. And you can get some great rewards for being a patron as well. So just think about it. Links are all in the description, or even on a title card. I think maybe if I do it, or on maybe a title card at the end. But anyway, guys, hope you have enjoyed this video. Hope you found it useful to a degree. And if you're interested, I'll see you again next time.